I'm going to call this meeting to order.
Second?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I need a motion to go into closed session, please.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. everybody?
Mike's on.
Hot mic? Hot mic?
Hot
All
mic.
right. Travis, we good? Okay. Okay. I'm going to reconvene in open session, but I need a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Pledge of Allegiance. Big flag there, another one there. Here we go, folks. Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. I need a motion on that, please.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-1. Okay, announcement of actions taken into closed session, and the board gave direction to staff to create a temporary administrative position that's going to be called COVID liaison for the 21-22 school year. Moving on. And that was it for that. And individuals desiring to address the board, I have a few folks tonight. We're going to start with Heidi DeBellis. You have 3 minutes, but I think we all know that by now. Most of us.
Thanks. It's great to be back in person. I just want to report that at Spreckels School, there's an overall feeling of camaraderie and joy. The students love playing together. They love being in class. We as teachers enjoy being together in person as well. And I'm also a proud member of the Spreckels Teachers Association, and we enjoy our time together. Also, Spreckels School from kindergarten, actually from TK all the way to 5th grade, practices bucket filling, which is a fantastic way to build respect, responsibility, and kindness towards each other. And so it's really nice that all the students get the same message that hopefully will build their character and make them grow into, respectful human beings. So that's a great part of Spreckels School. We just had a great meeting on Wednesday introducing STEM Scopes, which is a new science program. We're going to pilot that. And so I can speak for the lower grades at least. We're excited to go forward beginning next week to pilot the new STEM Scope science program. It looks pretty great. So just wanted to say hi, and we're excited. We're very happy to be together. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Michelle Mazuka.
My name is Michelle Mazuka, and I'm a parent of students in this district. I have a master's degree in medical microbiology, a public health microbiologist license for the state of California, and have previously worked for Monterey County Public Health Lab for over 10 years. I implore you to read the CDPH COVID-19 guidance for K-12 schools and all supporting documents in their entirety before you approve any district COVID-19 policy. You will see that it is filled with words like guidance, recommend, may, and advise, terms allowing the follower to make decisions for themselves. It also includes these words like require and must, which takes the decision out of the hands of the follower. CDPH guidance states the foundational principle of this guidance is that all students must have access to safe and full in-person instruction and to as much instructional time as possible. The July 9th revision of this document added language to emphasize the importance of offering in-person learning, regardless of whether all the prevention strategies can be implemented at the school. Your responsibility as an institution is to make school accessible for my child to learn. My responsibility as a parent is to keep them healthy so they may come to school to learn. The CDPH guidance has only 2 requirements. 1, K-12 students are required to mask indoors. Adults in a K-12 school setting are required to mask when sharing indoor spaces with students. And 2, schools are required to report COVID-19 cases to the public health lab or department. Only 2 requirements. Everything else is recommended, advised, and may be followed. If my child comes in close contact with a lab-confirmed COVID-19 positive individual on campus while masked, CDPH recommends, as long as my child is asymptomatic, they may continue in school under modified quarantine, or I may keep them home for 10 days. That is 10 days my child is out of school when they themselves show no symptoms, and have done the required steps of wearing a mask. 10 days of school without any type of learning, with what type of learning plan? CDPH is giving options, and I as a parent can choose what is right for my child, my situation, and my family. These two options are recommended, but I can choose neither and still be in full compliance with CDPH guidance. CDPH has put the right to choose what the parents do for their children's health and well-being with the parents, where it should be, not in the school, not in the district, and not our school board. For the record, I am in favor of following the CDPH guidance. However, I'm not in favor of making mandatory, otherwise recommended actions. Forcing testing of asymptomatic students or forcing me to keep them home and out of the in-person learning environment is wrong. It goes against what you as a school should stand for and what I as a parent am advocating for, that my child and every child in the school district gets an education. Mandating what CDPH has recommended is unnecessary and a slippery slope that will ultimately lead to excessive absences and continued learning loss. Can I have 10 more seconds? I would remind the board that a vote to adopt the CDPH guidance is not a vote to mandate anything that is recommended by CDPH. If the board feels that the CDPH guidance and the recommendations in it are not adequate and that parents should not have the right to choose what they do with their own children's health and well-being when it comes to COVID-19, then by all means adopt a policy that exceeds the CDPH guidance. Those who know me and my family know that we want nothing more than the success of this school district and its students. I'm asking when COVID-19 protocols come up on the agenda to think about what you are approving and what rights you as a district are taking away from me as a parent. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Shelby Lehman, and I wanted to thank you for following the guidelines and the requirements for the mask wearing, and I appreciate any of your mandates or protocols that keep our whole community safe. Thank you.
Okay. Recognition, music program donation from Mr. Donald Leroy Axtell, 2007 Trust.
A few weeks ago, I received an email. I thought it was a phishing email. It said, it's kind of like, your uncle in Nigeria left you all this money. But it was basically saying that this man passed away, and he decided to leave $29,000 to Spreckels for music. I still feel like I'm being had here. And then I read it's because his granddaughter, Jennifer Pena, is a staff member here. So we received, yeah. I'm going to let Jennifer speak about her grandfather. I just want to real quickly, this handsome guy was 98, I think, when he passed away. This last year, from what the obituary said, I think he worked in maintenance and painting, but he was a passion for piano and piano lessons. So thank you. We can't thank your family enough. I mean, the timing of that $29,000 to music is, as we know, the foundation couldn't have their hoedown last year, and so obviously the contribution was less, understandably. So this came in at just the right time. So please extend our thanks to your family.
I absolutely will. So my grandfather was a music major when he was in college, and music has always been a huge part of our entire family. Growing up, my grandfather and I would play music together. He'd play his recorder, I would play my flute. It was a bonding experience for us. We were, that big old family band kind of thing. So education has always been also very, very important to my entire family. So when my grandfather passed away this past winter, when somebody brought COVID into the nursing home, my father and his siblings got together and said, what would be meaningful to him? What would he want? Where would he want his estate left? And so they took a sizable portion of his estate and said he would want it to go into music education. And if that can go into the family, where it actually matters to his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. My son is extremely musical and plans to take an instrument next year in the band. We know that that would have made him really happy. So I'm pleased to present this gift on behalf of my grandfather and hope that it continues to inspire musicians in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of the board, I'd just like to say thank you to your family for this generous donation. And perhaps we can maybe put a card together that the board members can sign. And
Sure. Yeah.
Send off.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
that's very
Thank you very much. Bargaining unit presentations, STA.
Good evening. As you know, my name is Laura Viorengo, and I'm the very proud president and representative of this awesome Spreckels Teachers Association, also known as the Union. We are delighted to see our students live and in person, and they seem equally delighted to be back. Students and teachers are establishing positive relationships and classroom routines in our efforts to capture students' attention and propel them forward in their learning. There has been a bit of a learning curve for all involved as we navigate these shifting quarantine and contact tracing protocols. The first 2 weeks of school have highlighted that we have our work cut out for this school year. We look forward to working collaboratively with the district to confront and overcome the new challenges that we face, including social emotional wellness and unfamiliar learning gaps, which are in addition to, not in place of, our teaching duties. We are also looking forward to potentially restructuring our salary schedule or other creative ways to ensure that we attract and retain highly qualified educators. We believe the district has the ability to think outside the box to address this issue. We will also be confronting the higher than expected health and welfare increase this year, which will unfortunately result in a net pay cut effective this month for teachers not advancing in step or column. With such a healthy reserve and plentiful funding from state and federal agencies, there doesn't seem to be any reason why we can't be more competitive with surrounding districts. As we are continuing our school year, there is a clear need for reliable, stable substitutes. We encourage the district to be proactive in marketing the need for substitutes as well as the positives to working in our school district. This is just the beginning of what we hope will be a fruitful school year. We are praying for good health for our students and our teachers, as well as the administration. I would like to close by stating that we stand by our professional educators and colleagues at our feeder school, Salinas High, and their efforts to inspire a more compassionate student body population. We have a renewed sense of purpose to remind our students that kindness and sound judgment should always prevail. As in our mission statement, our academic team and community model and instill the core values of compassion, kindness, and respect in all of our work. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Have anybody from CSEA tonight? No? Okay. Board member comments? Who wants to go first?
I have no comment, thank you.
Okay.
Sure, I'll go.
All right, no pressure.
No, I feel like I'm starting to get a tickle in my throat, so it was perfect timing, so we'll see. I just want to thank everyone for all their hard work and effort in getting the school year started in person, full time. I know it's no easy task after so long and with so many changes. I just want to acknowledge that you're all so appreciated. I know it's been a lot of work for everybody involved, so thank you. And then I just wanted to kind of put a plug for the PTO and SUF. I know that there's a lot of families that might be interested in getting involved and being more engaged this year. And so those are two really great organizations and opportunities for families. And I know there's also a fundraiser that's already been started by SUF with the Possibility. So, and there'll be many more. And so I hope people participate and help us raise money for our schools and the programs. Thank you.
Okay.
No comment.
Okay. Myself, it was nice to kick the school year off over here, and then the next day at the other side across the river. When I say across the river, I mean Buena Vista. I don't know why. Am I the only one that refers to that as across the river? Am I the only one that lives on this side of the river? Okay, maybe that's why. All right, anyways. Apparently I was spotted by some colleagues who were dropping their kids off And so some memes were made with me in front of the school, but most of them were school appropriate, but not all of them. That being said, what an amazing day to start off, and just the kids lined right up, and I didn't see anybody chasing butterflies, but maybe I didn't see everybody, but and then to go across the river the next day and greet folks to start day 2. Yeah, there's a new normal. Hopefully it's only temporary, new normal, but so good to be back inside school campuses. Also, I don't know what this gets me. Maybe my compensation will double as a board member.
Triple.
Maybe triple, but I completed the entire MIG series of courses. MIG is an acronym for Masters in Governance with School Boards Association, and I guess now I know what I need to do as a board member, perhaps. But it's worth doing if you can make the time, folks, other board members. They do give alternative dates and options. I don't know if they're going to continue the Zoom model, but I hope they do. Certainly easier to attend that way than to drive halfway across the state somewhere. Or anyway, but that's all I have to say, and looking forward to visiting some classrooms sometime this trimester, but we'll talk about calendaring that at the end of the meeting. And that's all I have. Second chance, you two? No? Okay. All right, do we have any oral or written communications?
No.
All right, we're going to move on to reports. You're up, sir.
So yeah, all things considered, it's been a fantastic start to the year. And like Steve said, it's not normal, it's a new normal, but it feels really good. And I wanted to just take a moment to thank everybody who's made it happen. To the parents, you were asked so much for the last year and a half, and on the first day, you guys were appreciative and supportive and relieved. I think some of you were getting rid of your kids for the first time in a year and a half, and I recognize that relief. I hope you had a nice breakfast after. To the staff, we talked on the first day back that our priorities going back were not to be on the right page of a pacing guide. It was about to re-engage kids, build up community, and I think we've done that really well. It seems like the staff morale is really high, and it's great to see. So I think all of our staff are doing that. And to the kids have been awesome. And I knew it when we came back, they'd be the easiest part, and they have been. It's taken them a few days. I was a noon duty on the first day of school at Buena Vista, and after they eat lunch, they go to have a recess in the grass, and they're just standing there looking at each other. It's like, what do we do? I don't know, play? Here, get a ball, throw it around. Within a day or two, they're acting like kids, and some would probably say that they back and more kid than ever, right? But it's wonderful to see because they are resilient, and they are the easy part. They are laughing and playing and learning again, and it's great to see. We knew that we'd have some challenges this year, and we've had a couple positive cases, and we've had to learn contact tracing and testing, but overall our attendance is at 95% plus, which is a really good, solid number. And we're not discounting the kids that had to go on quarantine, but we're doing a good job of keeping kids safe, I think. And I thank the principals and their staffs for doing that. We're following the protocols, and but kids are having a good time. I would say about all the kids inside, obviously, you have to mask. I would say about half of them outside, is that right now, about that, are choosing to. So again, it's an option outside, but and kids are making their own choice. So I would just ask people, let's continue making, this a great year. We got them back, and let's keep them back. So.
Okay. Are you going to speak for Buena Vista Middle School tonight, or are we going to pass over that one?
Sure. Kate apologizes. She actually has a daughter that's got some shots and is not feeling too hot, and so Kate wanted to be here. But she just want to pass on the same thing. It's been an incredible start. Buena Vista was the first school to have a positive case, and with that, Kate became our COVID expert on the fly, and so she did a really good job, and she helped support the rest of us. I think she's thrilled that the music program and sports are starting, and it feels really good. Almost normal.
Almost normal. Thank you. Spreckels Elementary School.
Okay, I'm doing my report in pictures. I didn't do sound. I wasn't that fancy. Didn't have time to make that.
Pictures.
Just want to share a quick slideshow with you. I don't want to get in your way. I'll just stand here. Okay. I just am sharing pictures from the teachers that they shared with beginning of the year, we really focused on, as Eric said, building community and relationships, and the teachers have been doing a ton of STEAM activities. What's STEAM mean, Jennifer?
Oh, good Lord.
I know the answer.
Science, what is it? Technology, entertainment. It's a nice not my night.
Just put you on the spot,
Yeah.
eh? Oh,
So anyway, lots of great stuff, and some pictures of our outdoor learning environments and classrooms what the teachers are doing fabulous with, and that we're really focused on a lot of positive behavior. So we're doing our pirate classes again. We've already had spirit awards passed out, and doing a lot of PE and recess time too. And our kiddos are not having trouble figuring out how to do it back there. Way doing it. Slow down just a little bit. So just some pictures to see. So just take a peek and move forward. We can, it's class meeting outside PE and outdoor education. Probably studying gophers, but lots of science. And there's some art that goes with it, A and STEAM, and some more science. And these are all like the first week of school, so lots of stuff happening already. And it just, for me, it just feels good because that's what we're doing. These are our kids, so it's really fun to take a peek at them and see what's going on. They're busy. And then we had back to school nights last week on Wednesday. We split it Wednesday and Thursday, and we had a wonderful showing of our parents, and everyone was so positive and supportive. It felt really good. I was actually a little nervous about it just because it was going to be different, but it was great. So just a few pics that I took of back to school. All of our teachers sharing great information.
That's so cute.
And then this last one I just wanted to share, it's just what I always tell everybody, that it's all about the kids. And that's one of our students who's in second grade, who's also a son of Mrs. Birch, our kindergarten teacher. He was one of the first recipients of a pirate pass, and he was very proud, so, which always makes me feel good. And so anyway, so I wanted to end with that because it is all about the kids. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, do we have anybody from SUF tonight? I thought we did.
Thanks for the plug, Stephanie. With this being the start of the school year, I just wanted to first introduce myself and the organization. My name is Michelle Mazuka, and I'm the current president of SUF. SUF is Spreckels Union Educational Foundation, and we are a nonprofit that raises funds for the garden, library, art, and music programs for Spreckels School District. This year, we have chosen to do a couple types of fundraisers, one being the family takeout pasta dinners with pasta abilities. We're currently having one of these right now, and orders can be placed online through Sunday via their website. Pickup is this upcoming Tuesday after the 3-day weekend, in the late afternoon through the evening at Bagel Corner. We would love to get over 100 families to participate again. We get $20 per meal, and last year we were able to make over $2,000 with this fundraiser, so we're hoping to do the same, if not better. We will have two others of these family dinners later in the school year. We will also do C's Candy fundraising 3 times this school year, starting with the holiday one around Christmas time, then Valentine's and Easter. These will all be ordered online again and shipped to your door. And then depending on how the spring plays out, we're thinking of either a hoedown of some sort or a drive-through barbecue with a drive-through farmer's market. Our meetings are the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. here in the Spreckels Auditorium. And I encourage anyone and everyone to come. We love new members and new ideas. Thank you.
Anybody from PTO? No?
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
That's
But I
okay.
think they did have their meeting.
Did they? Maybe next month. Bobcat Club. Anybody from Bobcat Club?
I didn't hear anything.
No? Okay. When was SUF meetings?
Tuesdays.
Which Tuesdays?
7.
Second and just once a month? Second Tuesdays? Okay, cool. All right, business. Fund balance report. I don't hear you yet. I mean, I hear you, but I don't hear you, Mike. There you go.
Double click. So here we are, fund balance report. This is through August 31st, so 2 months into the year.
At this point, it's still not a meaningful report because we haven't posted our ending fund balance from 2020-21 to become our beginning fund balance. Basically, it's just tracking expenditures and revenue, and as you can see, if this were actual, we would be in overdraft by $557,000. So it's a snapshot, but it's not an actual meaningful report. Hopefully, by the time we get to September, we'll have submitted our unaudited actuals, they'll have posted our cash, and we can start really looking at this for some trending.
Okay. Is that all?
Yeah, I think
On
it
that?
actually might lead to a discussion when we start talking about agenda development, the calendar, the master calendar. This might be one of those reports that we don't even look at in July and August, right? That maybe we don't start even putting it on the agenda until we have those cash
It
balances.
might be prudent, because right now it's like, oh, what?
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
for efficiency purposes and
Let me
So-
check in with my board mates here. Did anybody have questions about the fund balance report?
That was my question.
Okay.
So that was perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I guess we'll move on to class configuration with interdistrict transfers.
So this is the list through Thursday, August 26th, so a week ago. And if we just jump down to the summary, we are declining. Eric, you might be able to speak more to the reasons what you think is happening, but we started the school year at 946, we're down to 936. So 2 weeks, 10 kids, that's,
It's parents that have taken advantage of the independent study option. They've either gone to Salinas Virtual Academy or to MCU's like home charter. We expect to get them back when they are comfortable coming back. These are people that are just not ready to come back.
Okay. Anything else on that, staff? Any questions? So we have to keep an eye on that, see how it goes the rest of the year. And I know we get a year of held harmlessness if it stays declining. But that only goes so far, for those that
Yeah.
understand that.
I think this year, the budget, well, this year is really the hold harmless year because the budget is built on the 2019-20 ADA, average daily attendance. The year that will be impacted by this year will be next year, 2022-23, if we don't grow higher than what this year is. And because then that year will be built on the current year. So when we start doing budget models in January and really December when we do first interim, we'll project based on these numbers, and that's when we'll need to have some sort of, it could be, let's say it's $500,000 in less revenue because we've gone from 960 to 930, right? 30 kids. It's going to be a lot. I mean, we just have to have a plan. I'm not going to jump off the cliff yet, but, so you said we have to keep an eye on that. So I'll just zip it and agree, we have to keep an eye on that.
I didn't mean to open that door, I apologize.
Well, it's concerning, for
But
the
I want,
voices in my head.
I know when I see declining enrollment, I know what that means, and that's
Yeah.
it's concerning, but we'll watch it, and we'll budget accordingly.
And the other unknown to be aware of is just the impact of all this modified quarantine, and there's conversations happening in Sacramento, as I'm sure you know, that we're going to be looking for some relief in all of that. There has to be some way to address what we can't even prepare for yet. So,
There was a conversation happening just a couple hours ago,
okay, good.
so I heard.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Any questions? No. Okay, facilities.
Most of the last few weeks have just been spent by our crew getting used to having all these kids and staff back. And I think the principals would agree it's been a little challenging, but I think they're getting into the swing of things. We're trying to just address issues as they come up in terms of getting through what used to be our normal processes when staff is here and then leave, and we're cleaning classrooms. There may be a time in the future that we'll need to look at those assignments once things sort of settle down, but it's a little early for that. I have asked the lead maintenance, Jaime, to keep in close contact with his crews, the gentlemen, while they're getting used to all of these schedules, and not wait too long before things are out of control, so.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from board members on facilities? No. Okay. Well, we're going to get to action. I see something about facilities right out of chute here. Here we go. Buena Vista Middle School Field Improvement Project, intent to award notice to C2 Builders. Maybe have a motion first?
So moved.
It's been moved?
I'll second.
Seconded?
So this is the result of the bid opening that took place on the 22nd, I believe it was, of July. And they have been selected as the lowest responsive bid. And through public contract law, they are issued the intent to award, which with your approval then sends us into negotiations with them. They've seen the contract because it's part of the contract documents in the call to bid, and they have approximately 10 days to comply with the language within the contract. If we get hit with something troubling from them about that, then it may require another board action. But they have 10 days to comply with the language of the agreement, and then we'll bring it back to you actually in October for board ratification. And at that point, that will start the construction schedule.
Okay.
Hopefully, everyone will be ready to hit the ground soon after that.
Do board members get souvenir hard hats and gold-painted shovels?
Well, maybe when we have an opening,
Okay.
you can come and...
Ribbon cutting?
Yeah, you can shoot the first
Well,
basket.
I'm looking forward to it.
How's your basketball?
The board member's kid actually took the first shot. So
You don't want me to do that. I played hockey for a reason.
How about Foursquare? Maybe a game of
Yeah,
Foursquare?
okay, I'll do that.
Ball wall.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Okay. Any debate or discussion or questions from
Just
staff?
glad it's finally come. I've been talking about this
It's
for
been a
years.
long time running.
2016 was when we started this.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Okay.
been- yes.
Long time running. Tragically hip song for those north of the border folks. Yes. All right. With that being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. The motion carries 4-0-1. Moving on to the unaudited actuals. Show us what's left over.
Do you want to do the motion?
Do you want us to?
Yes.
Then we will.
So moved.
Move.
Second.
Now we're ready.
Okay, so the first thing I want to bring to your attention is on the very first page, the certification page, and share with you that a question was sent by Dr. Chris asking what the CEA deficiency amount, what that was, what that meant. There is an antiquated law from 1976 that says elementary school districts must spend 60% of their revenue on classroom teachers' salaries and benefits. And we have met that through all of my years here with ease. This year, because of all of the influx of all the federal COVID monies, and some of those monies, a lot of those monies actually did go to staff through the PD or the extra prep or tutoring, bridging program, but a lot of it also went to sanitizer stations and all the PPE and HVAC improvements and supplies really that are not in the classroom instructional. And so we were not able to meet the CEA. And what that means is we have to send a request to the county SUP to be exempted for the year based on our comparability with our neighbors who are functioning in the same fashion that we function, which is a K-8 elementary school district, for example. So I just basically submit a form, pull salaries and benefits from Santa Rita, Washington, Salinas City, and I expect that the county soup will approve the exemption. If for some reason they don't, that $197,000 that's listed on the form is held through transfer and has to be subsequently spent on classroom teachers, which again isn't hard to do. Maybe a third of that happens in step and column, but it becomes a sort of rolling forward accounting task that we hope to avoid. But it does come up on the certification page that we will need the clerk or the board president to sign. So that was the question by Dr. Chris. I gave him the answer. I always want to share with everyone if any board member reaches out with something. So that's the first page of the report. Now I'm going to jump to the last page of the report, which is the breakdown of the beginning balance to the ending balance, and then all the assignments, designations of the balance. So we started with 5.1, we brought in 10 million, we spent 9.7, so our ending balance went up to 6.1. So that's about $1 million swing. Of that, we have those restricted dollars that are, many of them CARES Act monies, but you see the list here of all the different combinations of monies that are restricted within the ending balance. And then from there, we break down what's really left to be assigned. Some of it we use for the economic uncertainty, the 7.5%. Some of it we put into the track project, the toilet project here at Spreckels School. There are some things that are absolute, like compensated absences. That's folks who have vacation balances. If they were all to leave today, what we would pay them out for their vacation. This is probably the one that needs the most attention from management over the next few months, the supplemental grants. You can see we've been tracking that since 2014-15, and it's been very challenging, obviously, to spend those dollars during COVID and even before. I mean, you can see the last 3 years, we were every year falling short of spending the entire allocation. But we list it in this form so that in the end we can show that there is zero left to substantiate. We have identified a use for all the funds in that reserve. And that can also be a fluid notion. They don't absolutely all end up going there. We change this every time we bring a budget report to you. When we spoke earlier about the addition of an administrative temporary COVID liaison, this is where that position would be funded, because it's a one-time thing. It might be 6 months, it might be 10 months, we're not sure, but it would come out of the reserve. So bottom line is, we had a very good year. Our revenues exceeded our expenditures, and we spent the funds that had expirations in a proper fashion. They went out first. We didn't lose any of those that expired, some of them June 30, some of them May 31st. And then there's also funds in here that have 2 more years on them that are what we're using to support our 3-year LCAP. It's a fantastic report. I'm sure y'all read it page to page, but if you could just look at the first page and the last page, it's pretty amazing. We did.
Don't give my secrets away.
Oh. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Board members, any questions about the unaudited actuals?
I just have a question about the supplemental grants. I know we've talked about this before. So those are really earmarked specifically for, and it's certain populations, I think, that it's supposed to be served.
Yeah, foster youth and low income.
And so some of those, funds from 14, 15, hopefully now that we're back in person, we might be able to start spending those funds that are designated to those populations?
Yeah, so the reason that we track it in this manner, because from the very beginning of the LCAP, there was not clear legislation that said you had to track it. It was really all unrestricted money. But this population generated X amount. You know, we through a calculator, through a formulation, we come up with this amount of money that every year that's based on that number of those kids. And we have created program, our ELD teacher, our ELD support instructional assistants, it's not just the English language learners, it's also the socioeconomic, the free and reduced students, foster kids. So we've done our best to try to fully expend it, but it's been challenging. And yet, at the end of the year, it's been important not to let it fall. We decided in 2014-15 that we were not going to let it fall into the ending fund balance. We wanted to have the funds that that population generated. So if we were to have a year that we spend more than the current year allocation, then we would reduce that 14-15, and that's how we would go back to that final year, to the youngest year, or the oldest year actually, and spend that out first. So.
And now that things have stabilized, we do want to come back with the new plan for those dollars, and that's something within the next couple months we could do.
Okay.
But it's really good news, this whole report. So thank you, Veronica. She's worked tirelessly, and I think it represents we've made some really good decisions, allocations during this time. We've maintained all of our pre-COVID programs. We built a 3-year bridging program that so far has shown, I'm going to give a full report next month, but all the pre and post tests from summer school, like 80% of the kids improved. We sent a survey to all parents that were part of it, and some really, really nice comments. Thank yous. This has been great to the teachers and just the district in general. So we should feel good about this.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? I don't hear any. Motion, I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 4-0-1. GAN limit, aye. Boilerplate stuff. I get a motion on it first.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second?
It's been seconded. GAN limit?
GAN limit, 1979.
Yes, what a year.
So Mr. Gann said you cannot spend more than the tax revenues. And so that's what this calculation does. It does a look back and then a look forward, saying that we are not expending at a rate higher than our tax revenues. And if at some point you were ending up, well, they do account for population growth and also inflation, but it's basically to just kind of keep a little check. It's also one of those antiquated things. I don't know if there was a meeting tonight in Sacramento about this as well, but.
No, there was not.
Okay.
Well, not that I know of.
Yeah, it's antiquated, but I mean, in the end, what they're saying is we cannot collect all these tax revenues and overspend them, but if we aren't spending in a balanced way and we have excess revenues, then we should consider rebates or reducing the tax rate, right? So it's, both of those things are happening through this calculation.
Yep. Okay, we have to do it every year. Any questions from the board members on the GAN limit? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0-1. Resolution for cafeteria fund transfer. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second?
It's been seconded.
This is the first of what, maybe 3 this year. The program has definitely expanded in terms of participation because of the all meals are free. On the other side of that, we're not receiving any revenue for food sales at all. So the general fund will be 100% funding the program. And we'll have a better idea of that once we get to the next item and then bring a first interim budget revision to you. We can kind of tie up exactly what the program will cost this year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 4-0-1. Addition of a .25 FTE food service associate. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second?
It's been seconded.
And this is driven by just that, the increased participation. Right now, we have a other CSEA member who has been substituting, helping here at Spreckels School. Teresa, I think Susie said she had like 185 lunches today, or close to 190. Yeah.
This is great.
So it is great. And hopefully we can find someone to support the program. And I think they've actually improved the efficiency, because now that that everyone's free, we're not having to scan kids.
Right.
You know, remember the thumbnails, the controversy, we were taking thumbprints or whatever, all of that's gone.
Okay. No retina scan?
No scanning.
Okay.
They're just walking in, getting,
All right.
yeah.
Declining enrollment, but more lunches. Okay. There it is. Any questions, folks? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 401. Spreckels Elementary outside learning seating quote, school outfitters. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded.
So early in the year, we talked about, as we come back, we're going to try to create some outdoor learning centers for a lot of reasons. Pre-COVID, it was kind of a trend that was showing some really good results. But obviously, with the mask, we talk, how can we make sure kids can get out for as much as possible? So Teresa's worked with some people to identify some outdoor furniture, and thank you, Michelle is here, and she kind of worked with us on that. But this is, Teresa, do you want to take it? How much, where would these go, and how many kids would it serve? Ish.
One of the things we started talking about was, first of all, adding some new benches in the garden, because the ones that are in there are pretty shabby. So Bruce, I think it's still part of the garden grant. Anyway, they're going to help us out with some of the benches. So the benches on the top, most of them we started with those for the garden, and then we thought they're really nice. They're really well made. They're the type that hold out through the weather for a really long time, which that's what we want, and they're not wood and winter and all those things. And the difference is the lunch tables we have the holes in them, and the kids have they have to bring up they can't.
Uh,
See, it's a nice. Now I gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so these are just solid like those tables are. And so we have some of those that are going to be around, and then some some of more of the round tables for different areas, because there's just certain areas that we just can't put really long tables at. And right now we actually have a few things out there that should be inside, but we want the kids to, and the kids are, I know the teachers could speak to it too, but the kids are really using the outdoor tables, not only for snacks, for a different, be in a different area, but to take a mass break, and also to do actual lessons, which is really great. And then the benches, the goal for the benches is to put them outside by the gyming door, and we can kind of fix up that area a little bit, so we have some seating out there for the classes and for anyone that comes to pick up the children and things like that. So it's kind of a double. So that's why there's 3 different types. They fit in different areas. And like I said, they're really well made. We went through the folks that we usually buy outdoor furniture for, so we can get the good stuff that'll last, and they'll be safe. So they won't blow over in the wind. So anyway, we really are really using the outdoor areas a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the teachers have little carpets and things like that, so when we have more table areas for them. And right now we have at our lunch, you've been out there, but the lunch table area actually has our lunch tables, these guys back here, outside underneath. We're going to say the regular lunch tables on the outside, because we have to spread out more. So this doesn't fix that, but it helps with the other tables, which is really good. So a little bit at a time, hopefully we won't have to be so harsh on them. But as Eric said, I believe that the outdoor spaces should always be around, and it's one of those things where you kind of learn from all of this, but it's really important, and it's working really well. We just have such a large student population that we need kind of outside spots so that it's not too noisy, like during all the recess and lunch times. So, that's what it's for. Time's up.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. I do have a question on these. Do you think a kid can lift one of those? Okay. I just can see little kids and how they bump their head. Like, I've seen kids lift our tables in here. So I just want to make sure that these kids aren't going to be, okay, that's it. Yeah. We have some strong kids.
Let's
So
not
that
give
was
them
just
any
a-
ideas.
I know, I've seen it happen. So I just want to
Okay.
make sure that
Hopefully they're
that's-
not listening.
No.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else, anyone? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 401. No curriculum and instruction? Well, I mean, on the agenda. Hopefully there's plenty of that going on nowadays. No personnel and administration information. Opening update for the current school year.
To be honest, we kind of touched on all the highlights throughout the night, so unless there's some other detailed questions, we can kind of just pass over this one. We're going to talk about declining enrollment and staffing and just the general vibe and the morale. So any opening week questions for us?
I don't have any.
Because really, the information's been included already
The
throughout the night.
communication has been good,
Okay, good, good.
like yeah.
All right.
That
trying.
system, the automated,
Yeah,
thanks.
Good.
Really appreciate it.
You being sarcastic?
Maybe a little.
Okay.
The automated
that
system's nice.
Okay. Because at the high school district,
All the
I know
time.
some parents, yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, okay. Moving on. CPP, COVID prevention plan, and CDPH COVID-19 guidance checklist update.
right, so a few months ago, the requirement of the state for our COVID safety plan was these two documents, and they capture all the OSHA requirements and then the CDPH mandates and recommendations, and we're required to update them as things change. So the documents in front of you kind of represent some of those ever-changing guidance. They change literally weekly. Yesterday, there was some tweaks on music and even more clarification on the quarantine sports.
Yeah.
So the highlights that are captured here are with the masking policy, indoors mandatory, outdoors optional, spacing. There's no longer a requirement, although we're doing our best to, in the classroom, 3 feet of spacing. In office areas, Cal OSHA, I think, is still 6 feet. Other big changes, the testing. So the last time we talked about testing, we were, before school started, before we saw what it was really like, what our needs were, we talked about doing some pull testing. We realized through quarantine and the requirements that we need more individual tests, and we actually have a program. Monica, thank you. Monica's, when we interviewed her for HR, and we didn't bring up the COVID roles, but she's done a great job. So right now we have a system that kids that are on the modified quarantine, the requirement's 2 tests a week, or if anybody else has been exposed, feels like they've been exposed, we send them to make an appointment with Monica. They go down there. We send them out in a box daily, and they usually, the results come back between 24 and 36 hours, usually. So it's a pretty effective system. And so we would like to move toward just, increasing our surplus there to make sure they're available, and to really broaden the testing opportunity for people. We've had some parents, when we send out those communications, even if they're not in the same classroom, their kids maybe showing one of the many symptoms, and so now they have a place to go, and it's been working. We haven't tested. Do you have any idea roughly how many we've tested so far? Like maybe an average of 3 or 4 a day. Does that sound right? $60 so far? Okay. And so that's where the testing is shifted, because I didn't want to mislead you with the pull testing. It sounded good, but then when you hit the ground to real life, that's not what we need right now.
Okay.
The other big change, and it was mentioned in public comments, that it is really hard to figure out what's a mandate and what's a recommendation. All of the advice we're getting from our legal counsel, from our liability people, from the MCOEs, that you, as a board, you approve, if we're going to update these documents and post them, it becomes our local policy, and to not pick and choose, because if something goes wrong, and you for a lot of reasons, the recommendations to include them all. The quarantine issue has been, like many things in the guidelines, it has been polarizing. The modified quarantine was actually, it took the CDC language and actually allowed some flexibility with the intention of keeping kids in school. And so the modified quarantine basically says that if the exposure, if close contact exposure happened with masks on under the supervision of a teacher or a classified member, that if the child's asymptomatic, continues wearing a mask, and tests 2 times a week, they can remain in class. The other option for parents would be to take them out for 10 days. And I guess, obviously, people feel differently about that. The recommendation is to go with the guidelines as written, and that's, again, what we're getting from most of our advice people. So, any questions?
Any questions?
I have a question about the testing. So,
Sure.
You mentioned that people are taking advantage of the testing, and so is this for, obviously not broad testing?
So
But,
if somebody
like-
was exposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about for beyond like exposure, but somebody has symptoms, somebody's symptomatic?
Good question. So part of the guidelines here too, we have like a flow chart. So we worked on a script actually for the secretary so it would be standardized. If somebody is showing symptoms that are consistent, which a cough, runny nose, a lot of just common, flu-like symptoms, we ask the parent, the strong recommendation is to go to a doctor and either get a diagnosis other than COVID or recommend testing. That's the recommendation. The mandate is they have to be 2 days away from symptoms. But for those parents that we recommend that want to take advantage of it, instead of going out and paying $104, we have free internal
Perfect.
tests.
That's
Does
what I
that
wanted
make
to
sense?
know.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to
Yeah,
know. So
right.
it's available to them.
Yes,
So
and it's offered.
if we're recommending it based
Exactly.
on the symptoms.
And so
we
what
can
happens, the
offer
site secretaries or Teresa will give them Monica's contact, and they pre-register, and then they set up a time to come in, and it's worked out. At first, we were just, like any new system, it had some bumps, but we think it's getting smoother, and we hope that's because the rates are down a little bit, but it's also because I think on our end we're figuring it out, and with this new liaison, it's really going to help. That's one of their roles will be, because we're asking people now to do things that, in addition to all the other work, and so, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Anyone else? I see this as information and not action. Will we be taking action on this again in the future? or is
Well,
this
the
just-
idea is that it's an approved document that's going to be revised, and unless there's a reason to change it, it will be the new revised document that's already been pre-approved.
I see. Okay. Anyone else? We're good?
So this is now, it becomes local enforcement. This is a local, and it's been frustrating because because very good questions are asked about what's mandatory, what's recommendations, and everyone's telling us, abide by the rules. Then you call the county health department and say, what exactly do we have to do? And then, I understand they're in a tough situation, but you don't get the firm answer that you want. So there is a lot of gray area. And so this takes away the gray because now it's a local decision.
Well, what I heard you say, though, is legal counsel, I get that. That's clear. But our liability carrier
Right.
has floated a memo.
I think the memo says something like, if something happens and you did not follow the guidelines, they're not paying for it. Something like that.
And we're an $11 million annual ongoing operation. One settlement, and we're
Yeah, it came from.
declining realm is one thing, but this is even worse.
Right. It really speaks to if something were to happen and somebody were to bring a suit, a liability of negligence against the district, and negligence was actually proven, when it comes to that defense, it's not gonna be through our P&L if we didn't have these processes in place. And more concerning than that, because we can get defense, right? We can go get an attorney.
Yeah.
But if there was actually an award given, these awards are sometimes, they'll ask a district, what were the preventative measures that you took? Like if somebody comes and, breaks their leg on our property, did we ever, sweep the grounds? Did we ever fix the broken cracks. I mean, it's those kinds of things. And it's the same approach with our liability carriers.
Yeah.
They want to know that we're following the guidelines.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Board norms and agenda structure.
So we were hoping to get a draft of the board norms that we worked on at our study session from Sarah. That has not come through yet. But we did make some changes to the agenda to date, and I think there will be more of that as we start looking at the actual order of the agenda in terms of, like the conversation we had earlier about, do we have fund balance on there every month?
Yeah.
You know, start to look at it like an annual document, or annually, the document. The changes that are significant to this agenda are the language under public comment. We cleaned that up after we talked about it at the study session.
Okay.
And we aligned the speaker sign-in slips to the same language as we now have on this item.
All right.
So-
Specifically, comments on the agenda and off the agenda will come first at the same time, which we
Yeah,
agreed to.
it simplifies things
Right.
there. Yeah. Okay.
So when we get that draft of the norms, we'll bring that back for
Okay.
discussion.
Well, I won't be able to sleep for a month now that we don't get to look at that tonight. All right. Understood. Okay. CSBA self-evaluation tool. That is in the packet.
That is in the packet, and that was another thing that came out of our study session. And so you could see a little bit, let's see if I can get to it real quick. What page is that? 187. I reached out to CSBA for some specifics about the cost of the tool. And it starts with really an online survey. And that product is $200. And
Okay.
basically, it just gives everyone a sign in, a link to go and self-evaluate. And then they will tabulate that information for the $200. If we want a guided assessment through CSBA, that fee is $2,700. So,
Meaning they send somebody to town?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. A facilitator.
Yeah. To review the results.
Correct.
Okay.
And then that would happen in a workshop setting.
Like a
Because-
study session?
Yes,
Okay.
because to just get I think the value of that is that you would be able to have that discussion about it. If we just do it online and then, I mean, we could bring the $200 results back and you could have a discussion, but that facilitation might be
An
valuable.
investment? Okay.
So,
So, what about that? Would you like some sort of direction on that?
yes, if you have a preference, we can, you have a budget as the board, the function of the board, you have a budget for either through your really training and workshop, which I
Yeah.
think I would categorize this into something like that. It's kind
Sure.
of like your CSBA training, that Masters in Governance.
Yeah, that's where it's charged
So-
off to, yeah. Well, what do you think? Let's go around the horn here. Who wants to go first?
Well, I think before making that decision, I'd have to have more detailed information. I did read through the sort of what was in the agenda, but I didn't, I'd like to see some sample items
Okay.
from the survey before we're going to spend $2,700. Well, I think if we did it, we might, there's two questions, right? The $200 easier than the $2,700. And we'd
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to see what does a facilitation session look like, and would it be worth the cost?
Okay. That's a great point.
I think I agree too. $2,700 is a lot of money, but potentially for the value that we get and that we establish this as a process that we do regularly, not necessarily every year, but that's a norm. I think that
Yes.
could be important as well too, that establishment. So I would agree. I'd like some more information about what the differentiation between those two products
Okay.
to be able to make that decision.
I think if we got out of it what we got out of the last session, it'd be awesome. Yeah, I think that was super beneficial. Yeah.
And all I'm gonna say is, if I know CSBA, they probably have testimonials out
Yeah.
there from board members, current or former, that have gone through this process and may be able to add some, anecdotal information on, why this is a worthy endeavor.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is, but I bet you CSBA can provide some folks to share, a one-page quick down and dirty of folks that have used it and what they got out of it, I'm guessing they have that. Dollars to donuts.
So I will ask for that information and we'll bring it back as an action item in October. And then
Okay.
you can make the determination then.
Maybe you
And-
can pull some of that testimonial stuff, maybe. As
Yes, yes, the testimonials, and also I wrote for some samples,
Yeah.
some, like, what is the result? What does it look like?
Yeah.
What you're gonna give us ABC school district.
Okay.
Because it has to be public information if they've been doing them
All right.
anywhere. They should be able to give us a.
So future
sample.
agenda item.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay. Committee update, committees, plural update.
Yeah, we're back, so we're going to have a safety kickoff meeting at the end of the month and our equity committee.
All right.
And we're going to be meeting at 3:30. We used to do sometimes at 9 o'clock, but our sub shortage is making that difficult.
Yeah,
so-
don't do that.
Yeah, so. And I know that we have a couple of representatives for the equity committee, so I'll reach out for dates. And,
Okay, cool. Anything, anyone on that? No? Enrichment program update.
Yeah, at the last meeting, Jen, you wanted a quick update. So happy to report sports have started. If you've gone by Buena Vista after school, you'll see soccer and practicing and volleyball inside. They've had their tryouts and cuts and cross country. Music has begun here for, Teresa, you want to tell her where the music program is here at this point?
Next week?
Yeah.
And how many times a day? Music is once?
And band began at Buena Vista actually this last Tuesday, and the numbers are up. We're at like almost close to 40.
Whoa.
Yeah, Mrs. Thompson's redone the whole, she has her own little stage area, and so the idea is during COVID, instead of having performances here, she'll have them in the outdoor amphitheater and just open it up. We used to do that years ago.
Yeah.
And it works really well, so.
Cool.
Well, that's the good news. The bad news is that because we are still under, the COVID rule umbrella, all the private and some of the private enrichments, for example, Legoland or some of those, we're going to hold off until it's a safer environment. Because right now, anybody that's from outside the district that comes in, there's a whole screening process. So we're going to hold, but we're going to keep on broadening as we're allowed to.
I would love to see more art, and it would be nice to see art even at the middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, just all the studies that are showing how good it is for mental health. Everybody been talking about mental health. Art is so good for mental health.
I was a wonderful finger painter in kindergarten.
Yes.
All right. Did I hear you say there were cuts for cross country?
Not cross country, sorry, for volleyball and.
Oh,
and
okay. I was going to say, wow.
No.
We must have a really hardcore competitive cross country team.
No, but we had, not so record numbers, but we had quite a few kids coming out. It's almost as if they couldn't wait to get back. It was a
sure.
good thing to see, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there were cuts for what, then soccer? or-
Volleyball.
Oh, volleyball,
Yeah.
okay. All right, got you. All right.
And perhaps soccer, I'm not sure of the numbers there.
Okay, thanks. Anything
Thank
else?
you. No, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, action. First read June 2021 policies per guide sheet. I need a motion.
So moved.
It's been
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion, questions? We're good? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 401. We're at consent. Do board members or staff need to pull anything out of consent for anything?
We don't know.
Okay. I'd love to entertain a motion on consent, please.
So moved.
It's been moved and second.
Second.
I got ahead of you, I'm sorry. You were ahead of me last time. All right, and it's been seconded, I assume. Okay.
did.
She did.
Okay, good. It's been a very long school year already for me, so, and day. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 401. Future agenda items, we're going to add the evaluation tool as an action item. Anything else? Board members to add to the agenda for staff?
Yes.
Sure. Anything else? No? Okay. All right then. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
I
I'm an aye as well. Meeting's adjourned at whatever time this is.